Hi, Mr. Wright here, and this film is for you if you are sitting your Edexcel IGCSE Maths exam soon and you're aiming for a grade 4 or a grade 5. It doesn't matter whether you're doing foundation or higher, because these questions could appear on either foundation or higher and are at a grade 4 or 5 level. First of all, if that is you, please hit like, tell me you're watching, and also you hitting like helps YouTube realize that this film is relevant to other students like you. Secondly, if you want to download the questions, then you can do so by clicking a link in the description. Then you can download the questions and you can work alongside me as you watch the film, or you can do the questions and then watch the film to check your answers against mine. And lastly, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and of course I'll respond. Or if you have any comments for me, if you're finding the film useful, let me know. If I can help you in any other way, let me know. Right, thanks for watching. Let's get on with the maths.
Question 1. Right, simultaneous equations. I'm going to get the x's equal and then subtract, and that is how I always tackle simultaneous equations. So I'm going to multiply this top equation by 5 and this bottom equation by 6. My top equation now will be 30x plus 20y equals 5 19s, just as well that we're allowed to use a calculator, and I would use a calculator all the time whenever you want to. And now 5x times 6 is 30x plus 6y equals 18. Now I'm getting the x's equal. Now I'm going to subtract. I write my minus signs in there just in case I end up with minus and minus. In this case, you don't end up with minus and minus. You end up with 30x. Take away 30x is nothing. 20y take away 6y is 14y. 95 take away 18. Do that on my calculator. Gives me 77. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 14 to give me y equals 5.5. Now I always then write down the top equation. So here it is. And I'm going to substitute my value for y into this equation in place of y. So 4 times y is going to become 4 times 5.5. So that's 6x plus 4 times 5.5, 22, equals 19. Now I'm going to subtract 22 from both sides, or float and ping, however you prefer to think about it. So 6x is minus 3, and on my calculator, minus 3 divided by 6 is minus a half. So my two answers are x equals minus a half and y equals 5.5. And that is question 1 done. Question 2. I've got an inequality. Here we go. 4y plus 5. Oh, sorry, I wrote 5y. Try again. 4y plus 5 is greater than 12. Float and ping the plus 5 or minus 5 from both sides. Gives me 4y is greater than 7. And divide by 4. I'm just going to write 7 over 4. So y is greater than 7 over 4. But you could do 7 divided by 4 on a calculator if you wanted to. 7 divided by 4, shift equals. And you could say y is greater than 1.75 instead. Right, part B. Now, I'm going to write this the other way around to start with. Now, on the left-hand side, I've got to divide it by 2, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Or, if you prefer, I'm going to escalate up the 2. So I'm going to multiply the left-hand side by 2, and then I'm going to double the right-hand side as well. Make sure you double the whole right-hand side. Now, this is an equation with x's on both sides. See which side has the fewest and get rid of them. This side has the fewest. It's got 4x. So I'm going to minus 4x from both sides. Gives me minus 7 equals 8x minus 10. I don't like it that way around. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to say 8x minus 10 equals minus 7. Right, I'm going to float and ping that minus 10 or plus 10 to both sides if you prefer to think about it that way. So that gives me 8x equals 3. Divide both sides by 8. X equals 3 over 8. And you could, if you wanted to, write that as a decimal, which would be 0.375. And that is question 2 done. Question 3. Now, the secret with 3a is just to know that anything to the power of 0 equals 1. So the answer for 3a is just 1. Right, factorize. Now, you might do this in a different way to me. I do this. I say, right, I know it's 2 brackets, and I know it's x and x. Now, in this case, the two numbers multiply to a minus, so I know it must be a plus and a minus. And now I find the numbers that work. This one is going to be plus 4 and minus 9. I'm sure you've got a similar way to do it. However you do it, I hope it works. And that is the answer. Of course, you can check by expanding those brackets and check you get back to what you started with. Now, part 2, hence, solve this quadratic equation. So I've already factorized the left. So that's why they say hence. They mean use your previous answer. And so now if I've got x plus 4, one of my answers is going to be x minus 4. And if I've got x minus 9, one of my answers is x equals 9. Question 3, done and dusted. Question 4, simplify. And look at this, I'm dividing. I've got powers there, so when I divide, you subtract the powers. So that's going to be e to the 6. Expand and simplify. Well, I'm going to do the crab claw way. I'm sure you've got a way that works for you. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is x. Minus 3x. And then minus 3 times plus 1 is minus 3. So that gives me x squared minus 2x minus 3. And that is the end of question 4. Question 5. I'm given a formula for P here. P equals T minus A times C. And look, I'm told what T is, I'm told what A is, and I'm told what C is. Work out the value of P. Okay, well, P will be T, which is 18, minus A, which is minus 3, times C, which is 5. Now, you can probably put that straight into your calculator, and it'll work out the answer. But if I were you, I'd get used to putting those negative signs in brackets. But if you put that straight in your calculator, it'll work. If you prefer, you can do this. 8 minus 3 times 5 is minus 15. So I get 18 plus 15, which is 33. But to be honest, I would just put that straight in your calculator and get the answer. Let's have a look at 5b. Make x the subject. At the moment, this is a d equals. D is the subject, and we want to make it into an x equals. We want x to be the subject. I'm going to turn it around. So I've got the x on the left-hand side, because I find it easier like that. Right. Get the x's on their own by minusing 10 from both sides. So 3x is going to be d minus 10. And now I want to divide by 3, or escalate down that 3. So x is d minus 10 over 3. And now x is the subject. Question 6. Right. Here I've got a formula for h. It tells me that h is equal to 6 times q minus 2 times u. Work out the value of h when q equals 3 and u equals minus 5. So h is going to be 6 times q, 6 times 3, minus 2 times u is minus 5. Again, I would just put that straight into your calculator. Let me do that. See what I get. 6 times 3 minus 2 times minus 5 equals 28. And I'll tell you how that is. It's 6 times 3 minus 2 times minus 5. 6 3s are 18. And minus times a minus is a plus. So minus 2 times minus 5 is plus 10. 18 plus 10. hence it's 28. But you don't need to do that. You can do the working on the left and put that expression, which I've shaded in yellow, straight into your calculator. Next one. Now this one, I'm given a formula, b equals 3 times m plus 2 times p. Work out the value of p when b is 2, so it's going to be 2 equals, and m is 5. 3 times 5 plus 2p. Well, that means that 2 is 15 plus 2p. Now this is just like an equation if it had x's in it. And what I'd do is I'd swap things around. So I'd get the p's on the left. I'd float and ping that 15, or minus 15 from both sides. And so now I've got 2p equals minus 13. And then I'd divide both sides by 2. P will be minus 6.5. That is question 6. Question 7. I've got 2 parallel lines, so I'm instantly thinking about alternate angles, corresponding angles, things like that. I'm given some information, and each of these pieces of information is written on the diagram. Work out the value of W. Give reasons for each stage of your working. Right, here we go. Well, I'm not sure what to do. So I'm just going to do, I'm just to find what I can. See that 73? And that angle there is also going to be 73, isn't it? Because they're vertically opposite. So I'm going to write BEF equals 73 vertically opposite angles are equal. Great. Oh, wait a minute, look. Do you see that makes a Z, right? That's 73 and this 73, that one and that one, they're alternate angles. They're equal angles, aren't they? Alternate angles are equal. So now I know that A, what is that point there? Oh, it's B. ABE equals 73. Alternate angles are equal. Now I know that's 73. I think I can find W because W will be 360 minus 124 minus 73 because there are 360 degrees around this point. So I could say in brackets, couldn't I? 360 degrees around a point. And then I could just put that in my calculator, which I'm going to do now. And then that'll be this question finished. 360 minus 124 minus 73. W is 163. Question 8. The diagram shows a circle and a trapezium. Right, I'm instantly thinking about my formulas now. My formulas for a circle are that A equals pi r squared, the area of a circle, and C equals pi d. And the formula that I know for a trapezium is that the area equals, well, in this case, well, it's A plus B, isn't it? It's those two parallel sides divided by 2 times the height. Let's have a read of the question, shall we? The height of the trapezium is h centimeters. Yes, that's marked. The area of the circle, oh, okay. The area of the circle is equal to the area of the trapezium. Well, I could find the area of the circle, couldn't I? Let's do that. The area of the circle is pi times the radius squared, pi times 8.5 squared. I suppose we could work out what that is while we're here. So, pi times 8.5 squared. So that, now I'm going to write down enough decimal places so that I don't get inaccuracies later. Okay, the area of the circle is the same as the area of the trapezium. So the area of the trapezium then is 226.9800. And the area of the trapezium, look, I can do that with a formula, can't I? It's 20 plus 25. So that is 20 plus 25 divided by 2 times by h. That's the area of the trapezium, and that equals 226.9800. What's 20 plus 25 divided by 2? I can do that on my calculator. That is 22.5 times h. So 22.5h equals 226.9800. Oh, well, wait a minute. I can just divide 226.980 by 22.5. That's going to give me h. H is going to be, now it says correct to 1 decimal place. On my calculator, I've got 10.08 and so on. So to 1 decimal place, 10.1. And that is question 8 done. Question 9. Triangle ABC is similar, although the same, except one's bigger than the other. So triangle PQR. I've given some lengths, and I'm just looking and checking that everything is labelled on the diagrams, and it is. What do I notice? Look at this. That's 4, and that's 12. So the scale factor is 3, isn't it? The bigger triangle on the right has got side lengths, which are 3 times the triangle on the left. All right. Calculate the length of BC. Well, here's BC. I'm going to call that A there. Got to calculate that length. Well, it corresponds to that one, doesn't it? So I'm going to go from big to small. I'm going to divide by 3. So BC will be 16.5 divided by 3. I can do that on my calculator. 16.5 divided by 3, 5.5. Write down an expression for y in terms of x. So y equals something to do with x. Let's have a look. Where is y? Oh, y's here. And where? Oh, there's x. Oh, look at that. They're corresponding sides. So y will be equal to 3 times x. Y equals 3x. Question 9, done. Question 10. Let's have a look. Question 10. Now, Tim is buying a bracelet for 4,000 Swiss francs. The value of the bracelet increases by 7% each year. Work out the value of the bracelet at the end of 3 years. Right, so this is a compound change. This is a repeated percentage change. Every year increases by 7%. To do a percentage increase, I multiply by 1 point the increase, so 1.07. Not 1.7, that would be a 70% increase, wouldn't it? 1.7, 1.70, that would be a 70% increase. We wouldn't want to do that. 1.07 to the power of 3. Let's work that out. 4,000 times 1.07 to the power of 3. That gives me 4,900.172. Give your answer correct to the nearest Swiss franc, look. So it's going to be 4,900. Question 11. Pasha invests $50,000 in a savings account for 4 years. He gets that much compound interest. How do I increase by 1.3%? I'm going to multiply by 1.013 for 4 years. There we go. Work out how much money he'll have in his savings account at the end of 4 years. Okay, so he starts with 50,000. We're going to multiply by 1.03 to the power of 4. So that's 52651.14083. Give your answer correct to the nearest dollar. Okay, so 52651, 52,651. Question 11 done. Question 12. Victor buys 12 bottles of apple juice for a total cost of $21. Okay. Victor sells all 12 bottles at $2.45 each bottle. Well, sometimes they say read a sentence, do some maths. Look, I can do that. If he sells 12 bottles at $2.45 each, I can do 12 times 2.45 to work out how much money he's taken altogether. $29.40. Well, he only cost 21, didn't they? He sold them all, and he's taken $29.40. Work out Victor's percentage profit. So I need to work out the profit first. So how much profit did he make? 29.40 minus 21. So he made $8.40 profit. And to work out the percentage profit, I go profit over the original, over what he originally spent, times 100. 8.4 divided by 21 equals, times by 100 equals. His percentage profit is 40%. Question 13. The table shows the population correct to two significant figures of each of 6 countries in April 2016. And there they are. Look, I see they're all written in standard form. Part A. Write 9.3 times 10 to the 7 as an ordinary number. Well, I've got to multiply it by 10 7 times. So the first one will bounce the decimal point over the 3. And then I'll have to multiply it by 10 6 more times. I'll put 6 zeros, 93 million. Which of these countries have the least population? Well, which of these is the lowest number? Well, if you wanted to, you could work out each of them on your calculator, write them all down and see which one has the lowest number. But I know it's either going to be this one or this one, because they are both times by 10 to the 6. Now, Hungary is 9.8 times 10 to the 6, so that's 9.8 million. And Singapore is 5.7 million. So, of course, Singapore is the smallest one. So my answer to which of these countries have the least population is Singapore. I suppose I should give it a capital S. Really. Okay. The population in China was this in April 2016. The population of India was this in April 16. Work out the difference between the population of China and the population of India. Well, I'm going to do the largest one minus the smallest one. So the largest one is 1.382 times 10 to the 9. And from that, I'm going to subtract the smaller one, which is 1.327 times 10 to the 9. Now, I guess you could probably do that on a calculator. Well, I'm going to see what happens if I do it on my calculator, because they might have been quite clever and done one that won't actually fit on the calculator, in which case we'll have to do this one in another way, but I'm going to try. I get the answer 5 and then 6 zeros, so 55 million. Okay, 55 and 6 zeros. Give your answer in standard form. 5.5 times 10 to the, count the jumps, times 10 to the 7. Question 13 done. Question 14. Write down all the factors of 9. Well, I tend to write my factors in pairs. 1 and 9, not 2. 3 and 3, so I won't write the 3 down again. And then I finished. 1, 3, 9. The lowest common multiple of 15 and 70. Well, let's write down the multiples of 15. 15, 30, 45, 60. It's a bit like having to know your 15 times table. You can always use your calculator, of course. Okay. All right. And let's write down the multiples of 70. 70, 140, 210. I need to find one that's on both lists. Will 210 be on both lists? Does 15 go into 210? What is 210 divided by 15? It does. It goes in 14 times. So eventually, if I carried on here, I would get a 210. And 210 is the lowest common multiple. Now, you could instead have written them both in prime factors and done the Venn diagram method. That would have worked as well. Question 15 coming up. Write 1,200 as a product of prime factors. Show you're working clearly. So I can't just use my calculator. So I'm going to use a factor tree. I took out 10 first because it ended in a 0. This one also ends in a 0. Look, 12 times 10. That can be 2 and 5. I should have circled that and circled that and circled that. 12, 2 and 6 is 2 and 3. So what have I got here? I've got 2 times 2. How many other 2? Oh, look, I've got 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 3 times 5 times 5. Now let's read the question. It says, as a product of powers of its prime factors. So I'm going to have to write that as 2 to the 4 times 3 times 5 squared. Now I've done it. I've shown all my working. There's nothing to stop me using my calculator to check that I've got the right answer. And I have. Question 16 coming up. I'm told what A is and what B is. But that's interesting. A is 2 times 3 to the power of 43, but B is written as 16 times 3 to the power of 37. Is that fully factorized? It's not, is it? 16 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Look at that. So actually, this one is 2 to the 4 times 37. That was, 2 to the 4 times 3 to the power of 37. That was very tricky of them. Find the highest common factor. I'm going to do it with a Venn diagram. On the left, I'm going to do A, and on the right, I'm going to do B. They've both got a 2 in them. Okay, and B would need 2 cubed here. And they've both got 3 to the power of 37. And then, what would we need here? 3 to the power of, how many more? 6. There you go, the highest common factor. Remember this, have you seen this before? HCF LCM. Highest common factor is the ones in the middle multiplied together. So it'd be 2 times 3 to the power of 37. And you could leave it like that. Express the number A times B as a product of powers of its prime factors. Well, A is 2 times 3 to the power of 43. Sorry, 43, not 34. 43 times B is 2 to the 4 times 3 to the power of 37. So what is that? That's 2 to the power of 1, isn't it? Times 2 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of 43 times 3 to the power of 37. Oh, when I do these, I add the powers, yeah? 2 to the power of 5 times 3 to the power of 80. And I've done it. Question 17. Hassan has a spare 6-sided spinner. Okay, red, blue, green, oh blue. Look at this. He's got red is 1/6, isn't it? Blue is 3/6. It's half blue, and green is 2/6. Let's not get caught out. The spinner can land on red, on green, on blue. Yes, I agree. He spins the spinner once. From the diagram above, write down the letter of the arrow that points to the probability the spinner lands on blue. Well, blue's a half, so that must be D. Green is 2/6. Do you see how they've cut the line into sixths? So 2/6 will be at C. Purple, isn't purple impossible? So that's the probability of 0. So that must be where that's letter A is pointing at 0, isn't it? Jake is making a different spinner. His spinner is a fair 8-sided spinner. He uses the colours black, white, yellow, pink. Jake's spinner, when he spins the spinner once, the probability that the spinner will land on black, so wait a minute, black, white, yellow, pink. The probability to land on black is equal to the probability to land on white. So those two have to be the same. Probability that the spinner will land on yellow is twice the probability to land on pink. Right. Well, let's imagine for a minute that pink. I'm going to do this by trial and error. I'm going to say that both the black and the white are going to be. Should we make them both one each? One each. Let's try that. Black, white. So I've got 6 left, right? And I want the probability that it lands on yellow to be twice the probability that it lands on pink. So it's like having 2 boxes for yellow and 1 for pink. It's like having 3 boxes. Now I've got 6 left, haven't I? Oh, so each box would be 2, wouldn't it? There you go. Yellow, 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 4 for yellow, and pink and pink. Now I've got it right, and I've done it by trial and error. Okay. There are other ways you can do it, but to be honest, I would just be puzzling it out, trying it and seeing it, and try out different things until you get one that works. I think that's quite a tricky 2 marks, Jake and his spinner. Question 18. I think this is our last question. Yes, it is. Well done for getting this far. 450 students were asked how they travelled to school on Monday. Okay, 450 students. Each student walked or travelled by bus. Look, walk, bus, car, bicycle. Each student used just one method of travel. Each of these students is chosen at random. The table shows information about the probability of each method of travel. Oh, what can I work out? You know how all the probabilities have to add to 1? Well, that means that these guys here, the x and the 2x, they're going to have to add up to whatever 1 minus 0.20 minus 0.26. Let's do that. 1 minus 0.2 minus 0.20 minus 0.26. So they're going to add up to 0.54. So these ones have to add up to 0.54. So the whole thing adds up to 1. So 3x equals 0.54. So x equals 0.54 divided by 3, 0.18. Haha, so now I know that the probability of travelling by bus, that's just x, that's 0.18. The probability by travelling by car is double that, 0.36. Work out how many of the 450 students travelled by car. Well, the probability of travelling by car is 0.36, and there are 450 students. So 0.36 times 450 tells me that 162 of the pupils travelled by car.
Well done for making it through those questions. Now, there's lots more on the channel to help you with your maths, so please be sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments how else I can help. Thanks for watching. See you in the next film.